Welcome into the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Preview for the Cleveland Guardians. I am Dave Eddy. I'm here with my guy, Connor Thomure. We're going to be getting into things here real quick. But first, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. You want to hit the little bell there for notifications so you get a new one every time a new video comes out. We're going to be doing one for every single team. Connor and myself are doing the AL, and Jason and JP are doing the NL. So you're going to want to, we're going to tune in and catch all of these. And then drop a quick like if you would. Just let us know that, I guess you're paying attention, that you like what we got going on. But Connor, if you're ready to go, man, I am.
Yep, let's get into it.
All right, buddy. We're going to go ahead and start off here with our starting lineup. Now, this is a projection. We're getting this from Roster Resource, so things could change. But as it sits right now, this is what we're thinking for their lineup. Steven Kwan leading off, followed by Ahmed Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Josh Bell, Andres Jimenez, Josh Naylor, Oscar Gonzalez, Mike Zunino behind the plate, and then finishing off with Miles Straw. So the first question I want to ask you about this lineup, Connor, is it's a question about Oscar Gonzalez. Do you think that we're going to see, an even better year this season than what we saw from him in an impressive rookie season?
I think it will, and I think a big part of that will be the amount of plate appearances he gets. He only had 300 something. I'm not sure the exact number. It was in the 300s, and I think he'll be able to get up to the 500s this year, build upon it, get 20-plus home runs. And another big part will be how close he bats to Jose Ramirez. He's at 7th right now in these projections. If he gets up to 6th or 5th or possibly even 4th, then we may see him get 80 or more RBIs batting behind Jose Ramirez. And I mean, that'd be huge, getting that out of Oscar Gonzalez. Another thing I'd like to see out of him, which I'm not sure if we will, is the speed. He's supposed to be pretty fast, but we don't really see him use it to steal bases. But if he could, take some more gambles on the base paths, maybe creep up like 8 to 10 stolen bases. It's not much, but it increases his value by a lot. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he can even get double digits, but, when it comes to stolen bases, I think that, honestly, speed is somewhat overrated. It's kind of more of a feel for the game kind of a thing. So you'll see plenty of guys that have, elite speed, and they just don't steal a lot of bags. And some of that's even team specific, but I don't think that Cleveland is a team that, will limit runners. I'm not so sure we'll see him necessarily naturally bet higher in that order. I don't see him jumping guys like, Naylor or Jimenez or Bell, so he might be stuck in that area. But obviously we're gonna see injuries. We're gonna see things, move around. So we'll see how that shakes out. I think that this is one of the more underrated offenses in the league. And when I look at this lineup, one of the first things that stands out to me is, Steven Kwan sitting right at the top. And to me, Steven Kwan is a guy who doesn't do anything great, but he does everything okay. So I think maybe the one spot that we could see, a huge contribution from him might be, like in the runs category. So is he a guy you think in this situation, might be able to flirt with like 100-run season?
He'll be flirting with it 100%, but I'm not sure if he'll actually get to home base on it. We saw Miles Straw last year play a little leadoff, in 2021, play a little leadoff for them, and he finished with 86 runs, I want to say. And then the season after, he's batting 9th and only getting 72. We might see something similar with Kwan. I do think Kwan has a better hit skill than Miles Straw does.
Yeah, he's going to get on base more often for sure.
Therefore, he'll get on base more. And a lot of it does have to depend on the health behind the guys, too. We saw Jose Ramirez kind of struggle a little bit. If that kind of creeps into 2023, Kwan, I don't think we'll get to it. He'll definitely be flirting with it, though. He'll be worth the pick.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the starting rotation. Cleveland's a team that I always really like their starting pitching. They do such a good job developing it, and you can see it right here in their lineup. We got Justin's brother, Shane Bieber, the ace of the staff. We got a very underrated Triston McKenzie coming in behind him. Kale Quantrill's a guy I love. Aaron Savale, brother of a good friend of mine, Nick Savale. And then Zach Plesac rounding it out. So really solid lineup here. But what I really want to ask you, because I like both of these guys so much, is, Bieber is traditionally, thought of as the ace on this team. But Do you think that there's a chance that McKenzie overtakes him, as far as like fantasy relevance is concerned?
I think he's much closer than a lot of people think. Their K per nine was practically identical. Um, but I think Shane Bieber still has it going into this year and possibly even in the year after. McKenzie's great, and I'm targeting him, but I am drafting Shane Bieber over him. His walks per nine's better. He allows fewer home runs. Ground ball percentage is better. His FIP and his XFIP were better. But I really do like McKenzie. He does have a chance to overtake him, but I think Bieber is just one little extra step above him for the time being.
So I think most people would probably agree and say that if they came out of their draft this year and Bieber was their quote unquote ace, I think people would be fairly satisfied with that. Would you feel the same way about McKenzie? McKenzie, you come out of the draft, McKenzie is who you think is your best pitcher. Are you satisfied with that?
I don't think so. I think I would prefer someone a little bit higher up there in the rankings than McKenzie. Um, it would mostly depend on like who my batters are. If I feel like I have a really strong group of batters and then they can like kind of lead the team, then I'd be happy with McKenzie as my ace. So if that's the scenario, then yeah, but I don't really see that happening. I think McKenzie might be a guy that gets picked a little bit earlier than what his ADP might be this year. Someone might reach on him before, and that might take away from that.
Yeah, I mean, I like McKenzie as much as anybody, but I think it would be hard coming out of a draft with him being your guy.
I agree.
I mean, sometimes the board just falls how it falls, and you might have a hitter or hitters, I guess, in that case, that would fall into your lap to where maybe you just are like, man, I kind of just have to draft on the board here, and then you end up with a McKenzie, and I don't know that it's the end of the world. I wouldn't be like upset with it, but again, that's coming from someone who really likes Triston McKenzie, so take it for what it's worth. Let's hop in. Let's finish up here with the bullpen. And the closer here is again one of my favorites. I love Emmanuel Clase, and then their setup guys are terrific as well. James Karinchak, I think could be a closer on a lot of teams, assuming he gets back to form. We got Trevor Stephan, Sam Hentges, who again is a guy that I think on another team could be a really valuable like late inning guy. We got Nick Sandlin, Eniel De Los Santos, Eli Morgan, and then looking like a long relief, Cody Morris. So what I want to ask you here is, I talked about Clase and how much of that I like him, but what are your thoughts between somebody like Josh Hader, who traditionally is elite, but we saw him absolutely struggle when he got moved to the Padres. What do you think about the difference between Hader and Clase? Who would you prefer if you had to pick between the two, and why?
Well, I'm definitely picking Clase over Hader if it came down between just those two. I think the rankings are, Edwin Diaz is obviously number one and should be. And I think right behind him is Clase at 2. And then I think there's a big gap between Clase and Hader, 2 and 3, where I'm willing to reach on Clase to avoid drafting Hader. I know some people like to stack their saves, but I think the gap is so big that you might as well go for that number 2 or number 1 guy and skip out on Hader.
I don't know how I feel. I probably would take Hader over Clase, and that's saying a lot because I really do like him. I just think that the ceiling on Hader is higher, but I know the floor on Clase is higher. So I don't know. Again, I think that'd be kind of how the board kind of falls. I probably wouldn't reach for Clase, but I wouldn't mind catching Hader as he may fall. Last question I want to ask you here about the bullpen is, I'm a James Karinchak guy, and if I'm in a saves hold league, is that a guy that you would target, or are you just not that bought into him?
I think I'm targeting him. This is a good team, pretty underrated team. They're going to have a lot of save and hold opportunities, and I like targeting those guys that have that chance. And a guy like Karinchak, if Clase ends up getting hurt, then Karinchak is the guy where he will get those saves. I think they would have to give it to him at that point. So yeah, I'm on board with targeting him.
All right. Well, that's going to do it here for the Cleveland Guardians 2023 team preview. If you've enjoyed this information, if you think that, Connor and I provided you with some great value, feel free, head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans. You can get an all access passage that'll get you into our Discord and all sorts of articles that, are not just, publicly available. They're hidden for a reason. They're very valuable. I think you get a lot out of it. Again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Drop us a like, and we'll see you for the next video.